Well, ladies and gentlemen, today, President Donald J. Trump just delivered what can only be described as a triple victory that shook Washington to its core. In one 24-hour span, he crushed Big Pharma, humiliated the Democrats' shutdown scheme, and forced Big Tech to cough up millions in a settlement that they swore would never happen. Pfizer, one of the biggest pharmaceutical giants in the world, caved under Trump's most favored nation order, finally agreeing to slash U.S. drug prices and pump $70 billion back into American manufacturing. At the same time, Democrats thought that they had the perfect Hail Mary with a government shutdown. But Trump spoiled it, warning that if they play this game, he will use his executive authority to make changes that are so irreversible that they regret ever pulling the trigger. Now, if that wasn't enough, YouTube paid President Trump $24.5 million in a stunning settlement for banning him during his presidency with an apology attached. Now, think about that, guys. Big Pharma folds, Democrats panic, Big Tech pays up all in the same week. This is why the left is in full-blown panic mode and meltdown, and why today's story is so important. Now, stick with me, guys, because in the next couple of minutes, we're going to break down exactly why President Trump just checkmated his enemies on 3 different battlefields and why this moment here today could change the trajectory of his presidency and our country forever. Hit the like button, subscribe, folks. All right, Donald J. Trump walked back into the Oval Office and declared a moment that this will be remembered as a turning point. Hours after speaking at Quantico to over 800 of America's top military leaders, Trump addressed the nation with what he called a life-changing declaration for ordinary Americans. He painted the picture directly. A mother struggling to afford her child's medicine, a grandmother standing at the pharmacy counter choosing between groceries or prescriptions, seniors watching their savings vanish under these ever-increasing drug costs. President Trump said flat out, enough is enough. He reminded Americans that this is yet another promise kept, another fight that he took on despite being told that it was impossible. And this time, it wasn't about campaign slogans. It was about immediate, tangible relief right here, right now. Now, the shockwave came next. Pfizer, one of the biggest pharmaceutical giants in the world, just folded. After months of back and forth, they finally caved to Trump's most favored nation drug pricing order. Now, so what does this mean, right? Well, for the first time in modern history, Americans will pay the lowest price in the world for prescription drugs, not the highest. No more subsidizing the rest of the planet. Pfizer not only agreed to slash prices, but also pledged a staggering $70 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing, bringing jobs and production back home. Drop a 47 down below if you're happy about what President Trump forced Pfizer into doing here. Now, compare that to Barack Obama, who promised but never delivered. Compare it to Joe Biden, who failed. He tried and failed. I don't even know if he tried. Hopefully he tried. Anyway, Trump is the one who actually got it done. Overnight, the impossible became real, and the pharma lobby's grip just cracked. In fact, the left said it could never happen, but now they're the ones that are humiliated. And for decades, Americans have been the world's piggy bank. While Europe and Canada enjoyed bargain basement drug prices, Americans paid 3, 5, even 10 times more for the same drugs. Not because the science was better here, but because Congress cut quiet deals with Big Pharma. Medicaid, Medicare, and government subsidies were used to cover these inflated prices, while pharma executives pocketed billions of dollars and bragged about their R&D pipelines. Give me a break. Trump laid it bare. Washington sold out the American people. Every hardworking taxpayer was knowingly footing the bill for medicine that foreigners got at a discount. Not cool at all. Not cool, Big Pharma. So that betrayal completely just ended today. Trump declared, no more will American families subsidize the rest of the world's healthcare. Now, this wasn't just an economic decision. This was a moral line in the sand. America first in research, America first in pricing, America first in results. And Pfizer's surrender is proof that President Trump meant every single word. Now, while Trump was out here delivering victory, Democrats were scheming in the shadows. In less than 12 hours, government funding was set to expire. So instead of passing the clean, continuing resolution on the table, a straightforward bill to keep the lights on, Democrats threatened to force a shutdown. Why? Because they claimed Trump's big, beautiful bill would send healthcare insurance premiums skyrocketing by 75% and strip 15 million people out of coverage. But listen carefully to the wording that they use. People. not Americans. That sleight of hand tells the whole story right there. This isn't about protecting citizens. This is about restoring benefits to non-citizens, even illegal immigrants who were removed from Medicare under Trump's reforms. Democrats framed it as protecting healthcare, but in reality, it was a desperate gamble to try and claw back what they had already lost. And their timing, folks, stunningly poor. The very day Pfizer bent the knee. Now, think about this. Every year, seniors lose thousands through bad Medicare coverage. It's horrible. Higher premiums, denied prescriptions, missed benefits. It's kind of like having a hole in your retirement bucket. It's not even fair. And so this is why I partnered with Chapter. Their advisors search through every Medicare plan available nationwide to plug the leaks and protect your money. Now, Leslie Taylor, she didn't even realize that her Medicare plan was leaking $1,000 a year until Chapter showed it to her. Now that money is back in her pocket. So here's my question for you. Are you okay with letting your Medicare plan continue to drain your savings? Or do you want to just do what most people already are? Most people are calling the phone number right there on the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number is 909-563-8279. Open enrollment is right around the corner. Give them a call and tell them Ron says hello. Now, the Democrat messaging machine went into overdrive, guys. Bernie Sanders stood in front of cameras and thundered that Trump's plan would cause tens of thousands of Americans to die unnecessarily. I mean, he called the reforms a death sentence, as though lowering drug prices and demanding fairness in the system was somehow an attack on the vulnerable. Is this guy like brain dead? Then came Hakeem Jeffries. I know, guys, the Walmart Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, asked directly about whether this fight was really about restoring benefits for illegal immigrants. And of course, Hakeem Jeffries completely dodged the question. Instead, he filibustered with these sweeping statements about protecting rural America, suburban America, urban America, black and brown communities all across America. Not one straight answer. These guys are so good, they just babble on to the point where you forget what the question was. Not one acknowledgement of the actual issue. It was politics that is politics wrapped in these sound bites. And conservatives see right through it. They see it very clearly. Democrats are hiding behind these rhetorical gymnastics. They don't want to admit the truth. This isn't about health care for citizens. It is about getting Medicare back for 15 million illegals. Now, Trump never won to play defense. Seize this particular moment here, guys. He warned that if Democrats forced a shutdown, it wouldn't play out the way that they had imagined. Instead of Republicans scrambling, Trump made it very clear. A shutdown gives him tools Congress could never dream of granting voluntarily. Emergency authority to slash bloated programs, trim agencies, even restructure departments. He said it flat out. We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible. And that right there is where the panic set in, because Trump named names. Russell Vought, his budget hawk, could gut entire programs in days, eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse that Democrats rely on to fund their little pet projects. All of a sudden, Democrats' gamble kind of looked like a Russian roulette. Push for a little shutdown, and Trump might just reshape the government in ways that they could never undo. And he wasn't bluffing. Trump was daring them to try it. Then Wall Street, they weren't ignoring this fight. In fact, JP Morgan dropped a bombshell prediction, a 70% chance that the government shutdown would last at least 15 days. Now, think about that. 2 weeks of frozen agencies, unpaid workers, stalled programs, not because Republicans demanded pork and barrel spending, but because Democrats refused to budge on one thing: giving health care back to illegals. Analysts said both parties saw political gain in a standoff. Democrats, with approval ratings in the basement, thought that they had nothing else to lose. Well, Republicans, led by Trump, saw an opportunity to wield executive authority like never before. The irony? By forcing a shutdown, Democrats could actually hand Trump more power, the very thing that they've been trying to strip him from since 2016. One miscalculation, and they would end up giving him the keys to reshape Washington on his terms. Now, of course, Democrats scrambled to control the narrative. They flooded the airwaves with horror stories. The TSA officers are left unpaid, soldiers missing paychecks, seniors losing Social Security, children going hungry as SNAP benefits ran dry, teachers, prison guards, firefighters, all painted as victims of Trump's cruelty. They called it hostage taking. The creativity of the Democrats, guys. They said Republicans were reckless, cruel, holding America at gunpoint. But here's the reality. The continuing resolution was clean. No gimmicks, no cuts to legal citizens' healthcare, of course. The only thing missing was Medicare for 15 million illegals. That's why Democrats were willing to torch the entire government, not for veterans, not for seniors, not for struggling families, but for those who entered illegally. Republicans flipped the script, pointing out that Democrats were the ones that were holding Americans hostage. And when you strip away the rhetoric, that is exactly what was happening. And at the core of this entire shutdown, sits Trump's big, beautiful bill passed weeks earlier. That bill did something that no president before him had dared to do. It actually cut off 15 million illegal immigrants from Medicare access. For years, taxpayers have been unknowingly footing that bill. Trump ended that. That is the reason why Democrats are panicking today. Not because of some imaginary 75% premium hike or health catastrophe. They're demanding that any government funding measure restores those benefits. But here's the truth. Trump already won this fight. The bill is law. It's signed, sealed, and it's in effect. Democrats know it. They're hoping that the public doesn't, though. So they hide behind scary statistics and spin. The shutdown threat is nothing more than leverage to claw back what Trump already took away. And the question every American needs to ask is very simple. Should citizens pay the healthcare bills for millions who are here illegally? Y'all let me know. Now, President Trump, he didn't stop there. He pointed to California. This is a state that's run into the ground by Gavin Newsom as the warning sign of the rest of the nation. California has extended benefits, including healthcare, to illegal immigrants for years. And the results? Skyrocketing costs, drained budgets, hospitals on the brink, and citizens squeezed harder every single year, year after year. Trump said flat out, we can't have that. We're not going to let this happen. Now, this wasn't theory. This was evidence. California's reckless spending has already destroyed its fiscal stability, forcing middle-class families to pay more while services continue to collapse. And Democrats, they want to export that model nationwide. Trump's message was crystal clear. Stop this right now, or America becomes California 2.0. So by tying the shutdown fight to California's failure, he drew a line that every voter could understand. One path leads to ruin, the other one leads to accountability. So as if the shutdown fight and the Pfizer deal weren't enough, right? Trump landed another blow. This time it was against big tech. YouTube, owned by Alphabet, agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle Trump's lawsuit over banning his account back in 2021. But it wasn't just the money. What stunned observers was the apology. YouTube admitted it was wrong to ban a sitting president and leading political figure from its platform. That's a big concession that big tech swore it would never make. Now, Trump celebrated on Truth Social, calling it proof that censorship has consequences. For years, conservatives shouted about shadow bans, demonetizations, and the silencing of voices only to be mocked. Today, a check with nearly 25 million zeros behind it validated their warnings. Trump turned personal censorship into a legal and political victory, adding another win to a week already overflowing with them. Now, let's be honest, guys. $24.5 million is pocket change for a huge giant like Alphabet. They probably burn through that in ad revenue every few minutes. But here's why this mattered. Precedence. For the first time, a tech titan had to admit wrongdoing and pay up for silencing conservatives. That's symbolic gold, guys, and symbols drive movements. Trump seized the moment, declaring that if one voice can win justice, then every shadow banned patriot deserves their day too. He pushed for wider accountability, asking why YouTube shouldn't also compensate the thousands of creators who've lost livelihoods because they dared to speak out. While skeptics say that that'll never happen, the door has now been cracked open. And so in politics, cracks turn into wedges. Conservatives saw validation here. Liberals saw weakness. And big tech, well, they saw their own vulnerability. For Trump, that's more valuable than the money itself. It is proof that he can make them bend. Now, if we step back and we kind of look at the scoreboard here, in just 1 week, President Donald J. Trump handed the Democrats and their allies 3 separate defeats. Pfizer folded, slashing drug prices and reinvesting into American jobs. YouTube paid millions of dollars and admitted its censorship was wrong. And Democrats, in their desperate push for a shutdown, ended up cornered by Trump's threat of irreversible actions that could gut their sacred programs. This is what victory on 3 fronts looks like: healthcare, free speech, fiscal responsibility. Trump didn't just win battles. He flipped the entire narrative. So instead of being on defense, he's dictating the terms. This is why the left is panicking, because every time that they try to trip him up, he spoils their plans. He turns their attacks into leverage and emerges even stronger. 1 week, 3 wins, and the momentum rolling straight into his second term is just insane. So make no mistake, this fight is far from over. In fact, the shutdown clock is ticking. Democrats are still gambling with America's future. Pharmacies are preparing for historic price cuts, but big pharma lobbyists, they're already regrouping, okay? Big tech just paid Trump millions of dollars, but they're quietly drafting new rules to protect their control. And Democrats, well, they're betting that the public won't notice that they're risking everything for illegal immigrant healthcare. The stakes couldn't be any higher, guys. Will America double down on Trump's vision for accountability, fairness, and sovereignty? Or will Democrats succeed in dragging us back into chaos, debt, and dependency? Well, one thing is certain. October 2025 will be remembered as the moment when the lines were drawn, because President Trump kept promises. Democrats played games, and the American people will decide which path we take. Like, subscribe, and share, because this is only the beginning. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.